What was the name of the bad guy from Tron? It's gonna drive me nuts. I'm John Renton with the retro review of Tron from 1982. Honestly considered a cult classic among sci-fi fans. It had some fancy visual effects, even though they looked dated, obviously, considering this was 43 fucking years ago. They were groundbreaking, and it led to the rise of video game inclusion in movies. And let's be perfectly honest, until recently, that was a pick and mix bag. A pick and mix bag of some shit and absolutely smothered in shit. Let's talk about Tron. The story's shit. The dialogue is shit. Pretty much outside of the visual effects, which really are fancy, you don't even know. And we have computers running from here to Tokyo. Bet you didn't expect that reference in this particular review, but this was written and directed allegedly by a human being, not an AI program. Steven Lesberger, who did Hot Pursuit and other projects and had an alleged story by Susan McBird, who didn't do much else. You can see why. Jeff Bridges, who would later reprise his role in Tron Legacy, a film that honestly really had impressive visual effects and not much else. And now we're going to get Tron Ares. They have tried for a while to get the Tron franchise to work, like just get the movies to launch more sequels. This was not a widely successful movie. $17 million budget, $57 million today. $4.7 million opening, $15.7 million in today's money, $33 million gross, and I don't know if that includes re-releases, but that would be $110.7 million in today's money. Jeff Bridges, who plays Kevin Flynn, or Flynn for short, and then we have Alan, or Tron, Bruce Boxleitner, from The Scarecrow and Mrs. King, obviously the most famous thing he's ever been in. I really remember that from the theme. The theme is like etched in my head because my parents watched that when I was younger, and even in syndication, that theme is stuck in my head forever. I did a lyrical version of that instrumental for Night of the Scarecrow. You can check that out just to hear how absolutely horrible of a singer I am, especially if you're a new viewer. If you don't know, you'll find out, but that's part of the fun. You don't get the show. So anyway, David Warner plays Ed, or, the bad guy from Tron. Sark. That's it. Sark. It just sounds like a noise you make when you shart yourself. Sark. These names are stupid. Anyway, Laura is played by the very gifted and gorgeous, and unfortunately since passed, Cindy Morgan, who looked great in this. My word. And yeah, from there, basically, it has Flynn sucked into a video game, or a series of video game challenges, gladiatorial-like, where basically he must find a way to fight the system and stop the Master Control program, also voiced by David Warner. David Warner has had quite the interesting career. And yes, there were other movies after this that would implement the video game motif. War Games in particular I think it came out a year after this. It was pretty good. Flight of the Navigator wasn't necessarily a video game like one. The Last Starfighter is what I'm thinking of. God damn it, all that sci-fi is in my fucking skull bouncing around like the laser discs in Tron. And yes, he must escape, but he must stop the Master Control program. So, oh man, arcades. I miss arcades. I really do. If you were expecting a deep dive into the story, what story? It's rice paper thin. There's not much of a story. Yes, there's the idea of being free from a system, and basically it boils down to Flynn wanting proof, a particular file that shows that Ed, aka Sark, aka David Warner, stole his video game idea. The patent and all that. And so Flynn isn't making money off of it, but he is bound and determined to use a particular program that he has designed called Clue. And it's all blue. It's blue computer clues. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let's move on. The game Light Cycle. That's the famous one with the yellow, orange, and blue cycles. And they were synchronized, so they're both crabby. Again, impressive visual effects. I can't show you that stuff because copyright, especially Disney. Yeah, you guys thought that I wouldn't show shit before. I'm definitely not going to show shit at Disney movies. I'll talk about that stuff, but that's it. And there also is, Tron, who was the program of Alan. He fights for the users. And he also had a weird little Navi, like, you know, like inspiration, or the inspiration for Navi, called Bit. Oh, he's a Bit player. Ha! I'm trying here, folks. I'm really trying here. Yeah, Jeff Bridges in this. Again, Cindy looks tremendous in this. Very nerdy, very hot. Moving on. Um, so, yes, basically, the Master Control is going rogue, taking over. It wants to take over the Pentagon, take over the Kremlin, and all that kind of stuff. Good thing we don't have AI trying to do that now. And, yeah, arcades. I really do miss arcades. There's other phrases and terms and shit like that, and then basically Flynn is sucked into the goddamn computer. He must compete against other players. There's one individual named Ramalima Ding Dong, Chang Shabop. Oh man, we've got these computers running over time. And I did like it was almost like table tennis like stuff, but it was table tennis of doom. And if you don't knock your player off their platform, then David Warner will kill you. To be fair, David Warner in Quest of the Delta Knights nearly made me want to do something to myself because it was really terrible. He played dual roles. That movie came out in 1993. I want you to look at the poster or the cover of Quest of the Delta Knights, and I want you to try and tell me how that movie looked like it was anything, like more recent than 1981. So basically, the idea is now there's various other characters that are fighting to escape. They are programs or whatever of users that are stuck here, and now they must escape. The idea is now Tron wants to find a way to basically get to this like Oracle type character called Dumont that basically will help them get the disc up into the real world that will be able to help Alan put something in it so they can poison the Master Control panel or program or something. Yes, that's it. So, Ramalima Pixel is actually really what he should have been called. Man, damn self-building video games. I hate when they become self-aware like that. The light cycle part was kind of cool where people were being disintegrated. At least I assume. I don't really know anything about these characters. And, yeah, just Yori, you know who Yori is. Just saying it. For those that know, they know. If you don't, why be just look up in the fucking cast. Yori helps Tron escape, and there are these other, that basically if you're red, then you're evil. If you're blue, then you're goo, or you're clue. And Flynn basically is trying to escape as well, but the idea is all these people must band together. And then Tron and Yori and Flynn end up on this ship. And kind of funny, I don't know why the hell it was so funny, but this is right after Tron gets his disc infused with the power to kill the Master Control. Alas, poor Yori, I knew her well. And at one point, Sark gets a logic probe. You know, that my professor in college had that same thing. I won't say what he named it after. I won't say what part of his body he named it after. It was his finger. He pointed in your face. You sick freaks. So anyway, that being said, that was a hell of a finger, though, man. When he pointed that thing at you, you felt like you were going to get your eye poked out. So let's move on from my traumatizing time in college, and let's talk about the disc being infused, and they must do this, and they go on a space airship where they're on a light beam, like they're in Quickman's world, but they're having to avoid this shit. But then the Master Control program gets a hold of this beam, and then suddenly Flynn is able to use this beam and shoot it up and lock onto this other beam because logic. See, the movie doesn't really apply any logic. It's fun in parts, but it has a lot of dead air. It is more of a concept beefed up by special effects than it is an actual movie. And you can fight me in the comments. I don't really care because I've never cared for Tron, but I decided to give it a shot, again, after so many years. And it's still not interesting. I've tried to get into it. So, they got Dumont. And they're torturing him. Damn Dumont with his penis helmet. If you know, you know. But then they capture everybody else, and Sark is finally bound and determined to not irritate the Master Control program, and basically then Sark and Tron end up battling, and then Sark gets hit in the head. But then the Master Control program, which is just this weird beam thing, it's like a giant Galactus head, and that's it. Or it's like Zordon, if Zordon was less evil. Because Zordon was a fucking evil bastard. You will not convince me otherwise. And basically the MCP says, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my power, Sark, so you can kill him. Why? You seem all powerful. You can't do it. Whatever. Now he's Super Sark. He's big and massive like Galactus and Fantastic Four First Steps, except he's a lot more lumbering like Galactus in Fantastic Four The First Steps, or the Fantastic Four First Steps. But then Flynn has a bright idea. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump into the beam and mess with it and everything. And I'm going to mess with the Master Control. So, because there's this big old spinning thing of like panels that Tron keeps hitting. There's one missing panel. Because there has to be. It's the size of a swamp rat. Or a womp rat or a wombat possibly. But Flynn stops it. The disc goes through. Destroys the Master Control program beam thingy, beep, beep, boop, boop. And then Flynn's back in the real world. He gets his file and shoves it up Ed's ass, and now he's got the money from the patent for the video game. Unfortunately, Flynn didn't realize or anticipate the fact that there was a great video game crash the next year. Damn you, Atari. Yeah, that is Tron. Were there any deep things that I missed? I don't care. It's a friggin' visual effects masterpiece, and that's it. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Redland, and until we enter the gladiatorial digital realm again, happy trails to you.